Good morning, everybody. Come on. We all know what my politics are. We all know what's going on in the world. We all knew this book existed. We were going to get to this book sooner or later, so we might as well get to it today. Let's talk about 1984 by George Orwell. So, what is this book about? We're going to start out with a really quick recap of the plot because I think we all kind of know about this book. We may not know the actual plot unless you've read it, but to be honest with you, the plot really doesn't matter a whole lot in this book because it's really just there to give a basically a travelogue of the country of Oceania and its government. But anyway, this book is about Winston Smith. He is a person that works for what's called the Ministry of Truth in a country called Oceania. Oceania is one of three countries that are left in the world, three huge states. Oceania covers the Americas and the UK. Eurasia is Russia and Europe, and East Asia is basically China and the area around Australia as well as Indonesia and that kind of stuff. And they all kind of fight over Africa. Just to in Winston Smith, in his job at the Ministry of Truth, adjusts the past, um, all of the records of the past, to make sure that it agrees with whatever the party line is that day. He has serious dislike for the party, which is the ruling government of Oceania. He meets a woman called Julia. They fall in love. They think they join a resistance called the Brotherhood. He reads a book called The Book, and basically is then arrested by the thought police and tortured and unfortunately turned to away from his dislike of the party. That's basic. That's the basic plot. This book is really not plot heavy. It's much more about trying to show off what the government is like in this country of Oceania. It's very dense, and I think we're going to have to discuss each and every different part of the book that I want to discuss right now. We're not going to discuss all the parts, but the parts that I think that are relevant to current day time. So, let's start with the dissection of the book. What is doublethink? Doublethink is the process of knowing something is a lie, but also believing it to be the truth. Doublethink is what the people that work at the Ministry of Truth use every day. Basically, what Winston does every day is he goes into an office building called the Ministry of Truth, and he gets orders to adjust the past articles in the Times, basically the London Times, the New York Times. It's the newspaper of record. As he gets those orders, he has to call up the relevant article from the past, change it to match the party reality of the day, and so therefore nobody can ever refute what the party says because everything that was in the past has been changed to agree with what the party says is reality now. Um, in case if that doesn't scare you, it should, because if a party, if a government can control the past and make it so that nobody can actually refute what they say, then there's a problem. It obviously becomes a huge problem. Think about today. Currently, when you download a book to your Amazon Kindle, It exists only in bits on a hard drive. And your Kindle is constantly connected to the internet. There's no saying that Amazon could not just simply update the book in the background so that when you read it again, it may not seem like the same book to you because they've changed it. But how would you prove that? How would you prove it? How would you how would you prove any of this stuff? We can we can definitely also doublethink is used a lot in today's media. We have Fox News, for example. When they reported on the 2020 election, they knew what they were reporting was a lie. We know that because we have their text messages from the time saying they knew it was a lie, but they were still reporting it as to the truth. And in case you haven't noticed, many of the personalities on Fox News know this to be a lie, yet still seem to believe it completely with all their heart. If you don't see that as a problem, there's a problem with you. We can also see a lot of doublethink happening in the Trump administration currently. A lot of the Trump administration officials have consistently said lies. We know them to be lies. They know them to be lies, but they say them with the full belief that they are the truth. We can see that in Trump supporters right now. Trump supporters will say one thing one day and the exact opposite the other day, as long as it matches what Trump wants them to say. And they will say both of those on both those days. They'll say it with complete conviction as it being the truth. They know it's a lie. They just don't care because they want to believe it to be the truth. They're employing doublethink to say the lie, although they know it to be a lie, but they say it fully believing that it's the truth. Doublethink is a very dangerous thing. Reality has to be reality. We have to all agree on a consistent set of things. 2 plus 2 has got to always equal 4. No matter whether the government wants it to equal 5 or 3 or 6 or 22. 2 plus 2 has to be 4, which is straight from the book. We have to agree that reality is reality. Do not engage in doublethink, ever. So let's go on to the next part. What is newspeak? Newspeak is, well, we've already heard one word, doublethink. Newspeak is a way that the government of Oceania is attempting to control even the thoughts of its citizens. Under newspeak, it is impossible to express things counter to the party. One example from the appendix of the book: the entire preamble to the U.S. Constitution could only be expressed in one word in newspeak, and that would be thought crime. This is a way that the government is attempting to make sure that no opposition ever rises against them. Because a person may think in sort of a pre-verbal way things against the government. But once newspeak takes hold, it can never be expressed to other people. You can't pass on the ideas that the government is bad. All you could say is thought crime, thought crime, thought crime. You can't actually express what you want to tell to other people. It's the way the government is going to completely control forever all of the populace of Oceania, and they can't, and so that people can't even think things that are bad for the government. We're not seeing this specifically today, although the intent of Newspeak we are seeing. The intent of Newspeak is to remove all ability to express nuance from language. You can't express, for example, what's going on today. The right wing of this country wants us to not be able to criticize Israel. They don't they are removing the ability for us to say we disagree with the government of Israel, because they say, well, then you're anti-Semitic. No, it is not anti-Semitic to disagree with the government. The government is not the religion. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to remove our ability to think in nuance and come up with ideas that understand the differences between things. And also other littler ways. Look at Twitter or X or whatever Elon Musk is calling it today. You have your ability to express long ideas removed from you, because you can only use 240 characters. I haven't used Twitter in a while, but you can't actually dig into a topic in that short of a period. Even on Facebook, where you can have longer posts, you're not really allowed to, because nobody will read a long post anymore. And that's a problem, because basically we're depriving ourselves of looking at small ideas and treat them with the subtlety and nuance that they require. That's kind of what I'm trying to go push against in this review, because I'm really trying to have a longer discussion about this book and about how we need to look at the nuance of these things. Yeah, I mean, it's a serious problem, and I really think that we need to really look at how we talk to one another. Do we actually dig into problems? Do we look at all the different aspects, or are we scared to say things because other people are only taking the most surface level thing of what we're saying? Anyway, let's go on to another part of the book. War. War is peace. Peace is war. And that's part of the government. One of the things that the government uses to control the masses in this book is being constantly at war with one or the other country. They constantly say they're at war. Why? Well, it's because in any society, you're going to have the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class. The upper class is the rulers, the oligarchs, the politicians, the people with power. The middle class is always the class that wants to change places with the upper class. Usually the middle class, unfortunately, uses the lower class to achieve their ascensions to the upper class. By doing away with the middle class, the upper class can retain power forever. Absolutely forever. In order to do that, they have to create a environment where all production is temporary. It doesn't go to improve the material lives of the people. So instead of producing more products that would help people, more medicine, more investing in healthcare, investing in food production, they go to constant war. And that is in order to make sure that everybody is constantly busy, but everything they produce is sent off to the front of the war, used up, destroyed, and so they have to produce more. That is a way of getting rid of the middle class, because the middle class no longer has any power or any resources. they're brought down to the lower class. So then the environment is stratified. Society is stratified into only the upper and the lower class. And the lower class consistently will always lack the ability, the resources on their own to try to rise up against the upper class. By getting rid of the middle class, the upper class has no rivals and can retain power forever. Also, war is used to arouse emotions of like patriotism, of hatred to the enemy. And it's constantly the ability to give those masses an enemy to hate. Make sure it's not the government. Hate these people over here. Don't hate us. It achieves two aims. It stratifies society into only two classes, and it keeps the large mass of people distracted from the government. And war constantly puts people in a state of siege mindset, so that they can't really think about what's going on with the government, because they're constantly feeling like, oh, we might have a spy, or we might have a bomb that hits us, or anything like that. And even though that may not be the truth, they're constantly worried about it, so they can't really form anything other than the belief that that one must be subservient to the government. It's something that we can see constantly used by the US and by other countries. Whenever a government in one of these countries really wants people to follow them, they start a war. They make sure that the war hurts the middle class, kind of whittles away at the middle class a little bit, so the oligarchs at the top have no threat against them. We can kind of see that happening now. In case you haven't noticed, the war in Iran is causing the middle class to be whittled away due to higher prices, and therefore taking away the ability for the middle class to gain the resources to topple the upper class. Just food for thought. So what are our conclusions about this book? One, this book is a classic. It's definitely something everybody watching this should read. I will warn you, it is quite dry in some places. It's not an easy read. It's not something that is fun at all times, because George Orwell was a very dry author. Animal Farm notwithstanding, because that was actually really fun. But you know, as a rule, George Orwell was a pretty dry writer, and especially in 1984, considering that it's not really plot driven or even character driven. It's really just driven by the idea that of using these characters to explore this society. But you should read it. And when you read it, step back and think about what's happening here. Think about how you can apply it to the current state of the world and of whatever country you're living in. And I should say, I've said a lot about the current Trump administration in this review, but be aware that this type of government can creep in under the guise of anything, under the guise of Republicans, Democrats, right, conservative, liberal, alt right, whatever. It can creep in any way. In Oceania, it crept in under the guise of socialism. But to be honest with you, the book makes it quite clear what the party is practicing is not socialism. It's tyranny and oligarchy. The two are not the same. It really isn't. And that is a discussion for another time. But I will say, if you think that socialism is tyranny, you're wrong, because it's not. But that's like I said, that's a discussion for another time, and we'll have that discussion probably online somewhere. But just read the book and enjoy it because it's really worth reading. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.